Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Wednesday, July 20th live stream for studentloanjustice.org. My name is Alan Collins. I hope everybody is doing well out there in the world. I'm still a little bit into the weather, I'm just saying, so bear with me. But if you're new to the group, welcome. We are the first, the oldest, the largest, and in many ways only group fighting only and absolutely and actually for student loan justice. That thing right there. For the first 15 years of our existence, we were fighting very moderately for the return of bankruptcy protections to student loans. That is still true today. That's still very important today. Whether you would ever or never file for bankruptcy, it's kind of still of penultimate importance to this fight. We are not going to see meaningful student loan cancellation from Joe Biden unless and until we get the threat of bankruptcy returned. So we're still doing that. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you this lending system is failed. It is finished. The pandemic was the nail in the coffin of the federal student loan program. Notice how they're afraid to turn it back on? There's a good reason for that. Nobody's going to pay. Nobody's going to. Even before the pandemic, 58.9%, or even 64.3%, depending on how you count it, of everyone was not paying on their loans even before the pandemic. So that's gone down to almost nobody paying today, and people are done. People are finished. 85% of all student loan borrowers were never going to be able to repay their loans, even before the pandemic. So they were underwater. Some of them were paying, but their loan balances were going up. But most of everybody was not paying. The lending system is done, guys. It's done. And we need to work our asses off over the next 2.5 months to give this dead, dying, zombie, whatever you want to call it, lending failure a clean, quick death so that we can move on with our lives. So we're glad you found us. Tell everyone you know about this group here. It is, in many ways, the only meaningful group getting stuff done. And that's not completely true, but we would not have a bankruptcy bill, S-2598, to fight for right now here today. But for this group, people on this group, we would probably not be talking about canceling student loans by executive order. But for this group, the petition that this group started and all the millions of people who signed it. So we're in a very good spot, guys, but the bottom line is this. The Democrats are down. It's down to the wire. We're at the end of this congressional session. We're at the end of this election season. Early voting starts in October. So the Democrats have got to do whatever they are going to do, and I hope they are going to do something by, let's say the first week in October. So that gives us 2.5 months. Honestly, probably 2 months is more correct. And by the way, if you have any questions or comments, throw them out. So it's down to the wire, ladies and gentlemen, and what we do, what you do, and what I do, and what everybody here in this group does for the next 2 months is probably going to tell the tale. You know, nothing good happens when we don't push, guys, and everything good happens when we do push. That is the one true thing that we've learned over 17 years of doing this. So it's really going to come down to you sitting there watching this. Now, I know, and then I say, if you have any questions or comments, throw them out, and if I can see them, I'd be very happy to respond to them. But most of the people I see here day in and day out doing the work, you guys already know we are the shit, and we are bomb, and we are the pioneers. And look at what we've gotten done. Look at how far we've gotten over the past 2.5 years. COVID was good for this group. I hate to say it. I have COVID, by the way. But I have to say, COVID as a practical matter was kind of good for this fight because it laid bare the galactic failedness of this lending scam. And we are now in a perfect position to finally get our bankruptcy, the threat of bankruptcy returned to these loans. And more to the point, when that happens, I think it's a very direct line between that and very meaningful, widespread, none of this $10,000 bullshit, up to $50,000 bullshit, but actual, meaningful, widespread, maybe even total loan cancellation. You know, if I was in Washington, D.C. at the Department of Education, I'd be like, can we just pull the pin and blow this thing up and start over? This dead dog is not worth trying to push down the street any further. This toxic 50-gallon barrel of radioactive sludge will not be kicked down the road any further. This can is done. It ain't going anywhere. Let's bury it. That's what I would be thinking. But anyways, much depends on what we do, ladies and gentlemen. On that note, and I hate to lead with this, but I've got to. We need to raise money, guys. We can survive and thrive on very little funding, guys. But like right now, we need 56 and a half people. So let's say 57 people to donate $20 or more, like over the next week. Our expenses have gone up hugely, not so much because of inflation, although maybe that's probably part of it, but we greatly expanded our email list today, and it's going to cost us around $1,600 extra a month to send emails to all of our peeps out there. It's like 150,000 or more people. We need 57 people to donate $20 or more, and if you look down there, please don't make me beg, guys. Please just donate $20, would you please? It will help tremendously. We can't do this on nothing. We can do it on very little, but we cannot do it on nothing. So please help. So our bill, S2598, perfect place, perfect position. It's got all the votes it needs to get out of committee. I think it will sail through the Senate. I think it will be extremely surprising. And we're a very nonpartisan group, guys, but I have to be honest, and I have to say that typically Republicans oppose us. And typically Democrats at least say they support us. On any given day, I don't know which party I can stand less, if that came out right. We kind of hate both parties, guys. It's like, I don't know which is more baffling. The false promises up to this point that the Democrats have made, and just this agonizing teasing that they've been doing of us, and Joe Biden's terrible words, and many liberal elitists' terrible words about student loan cancellation. People like Larry Summers, just idiot people like that. Austin Goolsbee. I could go on. But there are some elitist assholes in Washington, D.C. that don't like us, and they are both liberal and they're both liberals and conservative, D's and R's. And so I don't trust any of them. I don't know which is more disappointing, to be betrayed up to this point, keywords, by the Democrats as we have been, or to see how the Republicans just shove the noses of their own people in shit and wag their, and pardon my French on that, but what are the Republicans thinking? Why are they fighting so hard for this big government red state wrecking lending scam? Like right now, two guys, Kevin Brady, congressman out of Texas, another guy, Mike Brown, a senator out of Indiana. They're doing everything they can to stop the president from canceling student loans by executive order. Do everything they can. And meanwhile, student loan debt in the state of Indiana exceeds the entire state budget. Same thing in Texas by a lot. $141 billion in will never be paid debt in the state of Texas alone. I'm not sure what it is in Indiana. It's a far smaller state, but it's still a very healthy, way over 100% of their state budget. And these people voted for them. Most student loan borrowers are, mark my words, remember this, most student loan borrowers are either Republican or independent. It's true. You might not think it's true. It's true. Most borrowers, by the way, are older rather than younger. Most borrowers are over the age of 35, not under the age of 35. And the over 50, over 35 crowd owes far more than the under 35, under 25 crowd, respectively. These are their voters. These are their supporters that they are got their foot on their heads or the knee on their neck or whatever you want to call it. I don't get the Republicans. At the same time, I don't get the Democrats. Democrats have control of both the House and Senate right now. Joe Biden said he would cancel loans. Joe Biden said he would return bankruptcy student loans. In fact, as of even the past 3 months, we've seen the Secretary of Education Cardona. We've seen the Chief Operations Officer, Richard Cordray of the Federal Lending Program. We've seen the Undersecretary of Education, James Cavall. All of them, all three of those guys have said basically, yeah, we're going to stop opposing student loan borrowers in bankruptcy court. They haven't said exactly what that's going to look like, but they said they would be doing it soon. And here we are 2.5 months away from early voting, and they haven't done anything. So I don't get it, guys. But I do know one thing, there's a lot we cannot control, but there are a few things we can control, and we can control how hard we push. That's one thing that you have no excuse. Got to help us push. So yeah. I am looking for your comments now. I see Michelle Capoon and Terry Dotter here with us tonight. Good evening, ladies. Evelyn Lara Ferris is also with us tonight. Hey, Evelyn. Hey, Brian Landis here. Hey, Brian. Are Eugenia Perez is here with us tonight. We've got quite a bunch of people here tonight. And if you're watching this for the first time, excuse the bad lighting or whatever. That's kind of how we roll. All we care about is the truth. We don't care about politics. We don't care about, we have to care about politics a little bit. We definitely don't care about parties. So whether you're a Republican or an independent, you're very welcome here with us tonight. And your comments are very welcomed. So, hey, Brian Landis says 11 million of us are still in inescapable FFEL hell. So true, Brian. And again, and I haven't said this yet tonight, but the most important thing is bankruptcy. Whether you love bankruptcy, hate bankruptcy, whether you would ever never file. The president cannot cancel FFELP loans by executive order. That will never happen. Can't do it. Just logistically, that's impossible to do because the notes are held by private lenders. The best that we can do for FFELP loans is the return of bankruptcy and a forced negotiation. Now, I will say this, and I know it sucks, and I've had FFELP loans myself. I will say this, though, there are ways that you can jigger FFELP loans to be owned directly by the federal government. So, for example, if you default on your loans and you demand that your guarantor transfer those loans to the Department of Education, that will happen. And then they will be owned by the federal government, and then they are cancelable by executive order. You can also consolidate your FFELP loans into the direct program. And we don't give any advice, but that may be something you want to look into. I'm not a big fan of signing your name to any new piece of student loan paper. Honestly, that's just my gut talking there. So yeah, FFELP loans are a real bitch, Brian, and I'm not going to lie to you. It's just the fact. So all the more reason to be fighting as hard as we possibly can for this bankruptcy bill, guys. S2598. With the threat of bankruptcy returned, everything changes. Everything. I'm telling you guys, it's very few people should even have to file, maybe even nobody. Just having the threat of bankruptcy back on our side for all federal student loans, which is FFELP, I think, would it be Perkins? Yeah, Perkins. Direct loans, all federally owned or guaranteed student loans means everything. Because the trick that the swamp would like to play on us right now is a fake up to 10,000, up to 50,000 nonsense, weasel worded loan cancellation gimmick. They would love to foist that on us as a cheap substitute for the bankruptcy protections that should have never been taken away in the first place. So I feel you there, Brian Lennon. By the way, if you're thinking of what can I do? What can I do? You can go to our website. Number one, go to our website, studentloanjustice.org. Do our daily actions. You need a Twitter account, but we do daily actions every single day. And usually it'll take like a minute. It's like retweet this, retweet that, retweet this. Or sometimes it's like call your senator, or sometimes it's like submit a comment here. It's very quick stuff. We need you doing those every day. We are the pioneers, guys. You cannot unhear that. If we don't do it, it does not get done. And that's the unfortunate truth. We can't rely on any of the other groups out there, none of the talking heads, none of the writers, none of the people claiming to be student loan advocate. We can't count on any of those people, guys. We have to fight this battle ourselves, because these are your loans and this is your battle. And including me, I'm a talking head, right? I guess you can't count on me to fight this battle for you. It's just does not work that way. It never has, never will. So what you do means everything. So I would start with those daily actions. If you've never done a daily action, do a couple weeks worth, do a couple months worth. It's like once you get rolling, it's really quick. You got to have a Twitter account. I know Twitter sucks, so you do have to. There's that, but do that. Are Eugenio Perez says, oh, good question. Are Eugenio Perez says, are they talking about extending the repayment pause? I think is what you mean. I think nobody in Washington, D.C. has the first clue about what to do, Are Eugenio. I think nobody in Washington, D.C. actually wants to try and turn the lending system back on, because they know what's going to happen. Nobody's going to pay. And 90% of the people who do pay are going to be bitching very loudly about it, because it's fucking them up. Pardon my French. Inflation is hurting us student loan borrowers like it's hurting everybody else. And it's been 2 years now. So the student loans, Ed McKinley says student loans are bad. I would obviously agree with that, but I would also maybe add student loans are dead. Like, it's a rigor mortising dead body at this point. It's like you can slice and dice this cadaver any way you want, but I can only hope that somebody in Washington, D.C. finally grows the courage to call this dead dog what it is. Our Eugenio says, Perez says, oh, very kindly, $20 is a heck of a deal when you are talking about paying somebody to advocate on all student loan borrowers. Well, thank you, our Eugenio. As I mentioned at the top, we really need donations right now, guys. I hate to have to ask like this, but yeah, donate $20, studentloanjustice.org/donate. It will help. We need 57 people to do it this week. And I agree completely. The bang for the buck, like there's no comparison. Like the tens of thousands of dollars we spend in a year compared to the tens of millions of dollars our opposition spends, and all that we've gotten done over the past 2.5 years. I think that speaks for itself, guys. We really don't need money to win this battle. This is not a money thing. It's kind of like Donald Trump winning that last 2016 election. He didn't really spend or raise much money. It wasn't about money, guys. It's about getting the people on board, helping us fight. We do need money. Don't get me wrong, but we don't need much. So hey, Brian Landis says, yeah, at least and up to mean very different things, right? There is a world of hurt between those two lawyer words. But certainly up to could mean anything. Technically, it could mean nothing. And if the Department of Education had its way, that's exactly what it will mean for almost everyone. That's the way the Department of Education has always rolled. They do everything they can do to not cancel loans. 98% of everybody, even in this revamped public service loan forgiveness joke, is being disqualified. Of the millions of people who tried for any number of income-driven repayment plans since the 1990s, millions of people, like way less than 1%, have gotten their loans canceled. Way less. Like for everything besides PSLF, 30, or I should say for the income contingent repayment plan, millions of people, 3-4 million people, 32 people have made it through the income contingent repayment. 32 people. Like you could fit them in my shitty little apartment here in northern Wisconsin. Hey, Evelyn Ferris says, this week I received an email from the Department of Education regarding a change of temporary change of program. I received it. Yeah, we can't really get down into the weeds like that. I know that they've been tinkering with public service loan forgiveness, even with the revised public service program. They've been tinkering with things and tinkering with this and that. And I know there's a deadline. I think October 31st. Was that? Anyways, there is a deadline that people need to be aware of who hope to get public service loan forgiveness. Brian Landis says, I looked into consolidation. It will triple my payments, $1,500 a month. Right. That's, I like to tell people, particularly if they have defaulted FFELP loans, Brian, I like to say, hey, you demand that your guarantor transfer those loans to the Department of Education. I don't like to tell people to default on their loans. So that's something that, everybody needs to make their own decisions on that. It's a very tough position we find ourselves in. There are no good options out there because this lending system is weaponized against us, and we don't have to put up with this shit, ladies and gentlemen. So, you know what, guys? I think I'm going to leave it there at that. As I said, I unfortunately am down the tail end of COVID right now, and I'm still just a little bit under the weather, a little weak. And so, do our daily actions. If you want to help, are you not tired? Are you not done? I'm done. I'm done with this lending system. I want these loans gone. I want them gone. I want them gone by the time people vote in November. I definitely want them gone by the end of the year. I want them gone. And the path to make that happen starts with S2598. Whether you would ever or never file for bankruptcy. I'm not going to repeat myself for a third time. I think I'm just going to leave it there at that. But maybe the last thing I will say is just please 57 people donate $20, please. By the end of the week, it will help us tremendously. But hang in there, guys. I've literally never been more optimistic than in the entire 17-year history of this group. I don't think the Dems are nearly as worthless as they have been up to this point. I think that they have a certain survival instinct in them that will compel them, even with a crap president like Joe Biden, to do something real and meaningful before early voting begins. I hope, expect, pray for, and am working my ass off towards that goal. And you should be too. We need you. And if there was another group fighting this fight, I would throw this banner behind me in the garbage. I would join that group. There is that group that group is us. This is that group. We are ground zero in this fight, and you have no idea how important you are. So just remember that, guys, and keep your chin up, keep your head down. Do the daily actions every single freaking day, and don't be limited to that. You can think for yourself. You've been to college. You're smart. You can make stuff happen. You can confront a governor. You can confront a senator. You can get your local news media to report on this group, on our petition. You can spread the word about this group. You're not maimed, or you're not lame. We have people in this group. One last little story here, guys. There's a woman in our group, Martha Monroe. Martha was diagnosed with ALS like six years ago. Martha cannot walk. Martha cannot talk. Martha can pretty much type, and that's, she is very, very limited. She's had just extremely significant challenges. Martha does our daily actions every single day, and I just salute Martha, and we love Martha here. So if Martha can do it and you're not doing it, what's your excuse? No, you have no excuse. Your loans, your problem. You are important. You need to step up and pull your weight. And if you have no intentions of pulling your weight and you just want to sit back on the sidelines and eat popcorn and cheerlead, well, then you can get the F off of our group, because we don't want you here. You're a negative. We don't know. We need fighter. This is a working, fighting group. We need you with us working and fighting. You're not better than us. And you got no excuse for laziness, none of that stuff. What we get done in the next 2.5 months will tell the tale, guys. This is it. This is it. So just remember that. To everybody else out there who is doing the work, I salute you. We rock. We're the pioneers. And we are the tip of the spear. In fact, we are the spear. We are the eye of the storm. In fact, we are the freaking wind. So, but let's add to this. Tell everyone you know. Word of mouth is probably the best, most strong thing that any of us have. And the ability to think for ourselves and act on our own and be armies of one if need be. That is truly probably our greatest strength. So don't ask permission from us. Just if you see an opportunity, jump on it, seize it, and fight and fight and fight. And don't ever, 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 ever give up. Because if they can do to other loans what they did to student loans, they will conquer and enslave this country in debt. So, all right, guys, I'll be back on Friday. Ed will be back tomorrow. Hang tight. Keep fighting. Good luck. Godspeed. God bless everyone.